The gatekeeper's reckoning. Some nights carve themselves into your memory, sharp and unyielding, like a blade through soft wood. I remember when neighborhoods were alive with trust kids racing bikes until dusk, neighbors swapping stories over picket fences, and gates were for ranches, not suburbs. But now, everything's locked down, ruled by people who care more about power than community. I never imagined the place I called home for nearly 2 decades would nearly cost me everything I swore to protect. The call came at 11:32 p.m. on a quiet Wednesday. The radio hissed with urgency. Structure fire, for 12, Oakwood Lane, Willow Creek. Possible occupants inside. My pulse surged as I yanked on my gear and climbed into Engine 7 with my volunteer crew. Willow Creek was my neighborhood, a gated enclave of 250 homes where I'd raised my kids. As we tore through the dark, sirens screaming, the faint scent of smoke hit us before we even reached the private road. An orange glow stained the sky. This was bad. Then we hit the barrier. Our 22-ton fire engine screeched to a halt, tires burning against the pavement. A heavy steel chain, padlocked across the entrance to Oakwood Lane, glinted under our headlights. Behind it, a silver BMW was parked diagonally, a smug barricade. I leaped out, fury rising like bile. I'd warned them about this exact scenario. Captain Alvarez was already on the radio, his voice taut. "Dispatch, we've got an obstruction at the gate. Send backup." The burning house was just 400 yards away, but it felt like miles. My name's Tom Randall, and I've been a volunteer firefighter in Willow Creek for 10 years. It's a tidy community, but the HOA runs it like a fiefdom. Things were manageable until Patricia Conway took over as president 8 months ago. Patricia, who lived 4 doors down in a sprawling Tudor, was the kind of woman who'd fine you for a slightly faded mailbox or a lawn 2 days overdue for a trim. She turned our quiet suburb into her kingdom. Within weeks of her reign, she'd pushed through rules that made life suffocating. The worst was the chain barriers at every entrance, meant to preserve property values by keeping out unwanted traffic. When I raised concerns about emergency access at an HOA meeting, she smirked and said, "Tom, don't be so theatrical. Fire trucks can use the main gate like everyone else." I'd argued that seconds could mean lives, but she'd called me alarmist and had me escorted out for disrupting decorum. That was 4 months ago. Since then, I'd filed complaints with the county fire marshal, sent letters to the board, and even met with a lawyer friend. Patricia fought back with petty citations. My porch light was too bright, and my recycling bin visible for an hour too long. The summer had been brutal, with wildfires sparking across the county. I'd sent another warning to the HOA, citing response time data and fire spread risks. Patricia had it read aloud at a meeting, mocking my doomsday obsession to laughter. Now, as smoke choked the horizon, her dismissal burned in my chest. Alvarez grabbed the bolt cutters. "We're cutting it," he growled. That's when the BMW's door swung open, and Patricia Conway stormed out in a satin robe, her face a mask of indignation. "What do you think you're doing?" she snapped, jabbing a finger at the cutters. "That chain is HOA property. You can't touch it." "There's a fire, ma'am," Alvarez said, barely containing his anger. "We need access now." "I don't care if the White House is burning," Patricia shot back, planting herself in front of the chain. "This is private property. Follow protocol and go around." The second engine pulled up, followed by the ladder truck. Radio chatter grew frantic. The fire was spreading. Every fiber in me wanted to push her aside, but I stepped forward instead. "Patricia, people could die because of your rules. Move, or you'll be arrested." She spun on me, eyes blazing. "Oh, Tom, still sore about losing the board election? I'm in charge here. Use the main gate." Alvarez had enough. He radioed dispatch. "We've got an individual obstructing emergency operations at 412 Oakwood Lane. Need law enforcement, urgent." Patricia's composure cracked. "Did you say 412? She whispered. "Affirmative," Alvarez said, moving toward the chain. 412 Oakwood Lane. Step aside." The blood drained from her face. "That's my house," she stammered. "My son, Ethan's home tonight." "Oh, God." In an instant, the HOA tyrant became a frantic mother, fumbling for keys, hands trembling so badly they clattered to the ground. "I'll unlock it. Please, save him," she sobbed, clawing at the padlock. Alvarez shoved past, snapping the chain with a metallic clang. Our convoy roared through, leaving Patricia in the dust. The scene was a nightmare. Flames devoured the second floor of Patricia's tutor, windows glowing like hell's eyes. Smoke poured from the front door. A neighbor in a bathrobe stood on the lawn, shouting, "Ethan's room is in the back, second floor, far left." We sprang into action. I strapped on my air pack and followed Jenkins and Lopez inside. The heat was a living thing, pressing through our gear. Smoke blinded us beyond the foyer. "Stay low," I yelled, dropping to my knees. We crawled, feeling the walls, as the ladder truck positioned outside. Water lines charged with a hiss. Patricia's screams echoed from the lawn. "Ethan, please." We cleared the first floor and then hit the stairs. The heat grew unbearable, the roar of flames deafening. At the top, the hallway split. Jenkins left. I ordered. "Lopez with me, right?" We reached a locked door, heat pulsing through it. This was Ethan's room. I kicked it open, revealing an inferno. Posters melted on the walls, a Nanded frame glowed red. In the corner, a figure slumped. "Got him!" I shouted, rushing forward. Ethan, 16, was unconscious, overcome by smoke. I scooped him up, his weight feather-light, and turned as the ceiling groaned. Debris rained down, flaming chunks blocking the door. Lopez swung his axe, clearing a path. The stairs buckled under us, each step a prayer. We burst onto the lawn just as the hallway flashed over, a wall of fire that would have ended us. I handed Ethan to the paramedics, who swarmed with oxygen and IVs. I tore off my mask, gulping air. Patricia collapsed beside the gurney, sobbing Ethan's name. When his eyes flickered open, whispering "Mom," she clutched him, tears streaming. It took 5 hours to kill the fire. By dawn, Patricia's house was a smoldering ruin. Investigators later pinned the cause on a faulty breaker in the garage, smoldering for hours before erupting. With clear access, we could have saved most of the house. The gate delay cost them everything. Patricia sat on a neighbor's porch, wrapped in a blanket, staring at the wreckage. When I approached, she didn't snap. She just looked broken. "Tom," she said softly, "I'm sorry. Not just for tonight, but for everything. You warned me, and I let my ego nearly kill my son." I sat beside her, too drained for triumph. "Ethan's alive," I said. "That's enough." She stared at the ruins. "The fire chief said the chain delayed you 7 minutes. 7 minutes that let the fire take everything." She paused, then said, "I'm stepping down as HOA president. I'll push to remove every barrier before someone else pays for my mistakes." 2 weeks later, at an emergency HOA meeting, Patricia faced a packed room. She looked frail, her usual polish gone. Her resignation was brief, with no deflections. She backed a motion to dismantle all gates and adopt the fire department's access plan. The vote was unanimous. I approached her after, holding a small box. Inside was a scorched piece of the chain we'd cut, blackened from the fire. "For your new home," I said. A reminder. She took it, tears falling, and nodded. The HOA later fined her $1,300 for visible fire damage. Her insurance denied her claim, citing obstruction, leaving her with a $390,000 mortgage on ashes. The state fire marshal charged her with reckless endangerment and pleaded for 2 years probation and 4,000 hours of community service with the fire department. In court, she looked like a ghost of herself. The neighborhood changed after that night. Gates came down, and people started talking again, not just about rules, but about what mattered, keeping each other safe. Patricia moved to a rental across town, starting over with Ethan. She kept that chain fragment on her mantle, a silent vow. What do you think? Was Patricia's punishment fair, or did her mistake deserve more or less? Have you seen power corrupt like this in your community? Share your thoughts in the comments below, especially about justice and accountability in moments of crisis. Let's hear your take.